definitely will. Have some issues that he has to attend to urgently. So once he can, he definitely will. But if not, then of course, we know you guys out there always ready to go, and we will be taking your calls as always. And tonight a little earlier than normal because a lot of people complain, man, all you're talking too much and all you're giving the callers a chance, and so tonight we're gonna work on that. So we welcome our viewers on GBN Television, of course, our friends on Facebook and also on the YouTube channel, and of course the We Culture Creator page. It's always a pleasure to have you guys, and we're looking forward to having a great time this evening. We're continuing with the issue of respect and manners with a heavy focus on our elderly and of course pregnant women and women with children. So Doc, good evening and welcome again.
Well, my brother, thank you. And I just want to say a good night to all our listeners on all the various mediums. And tonight we are going to, this topic we cannot fully exhaust it, but here we are going to try to do it in phases and see how much we can encapsulate by our discussions. But as Godfrey say, the wealth of knowledge is there outside here with you, and you're going to inform us. We're going to help stimulate the discussion, but you're going to fill in, you're going to straighten us up when where we slack, of course, because this thing, the more I think about it, the more I recognize how important it is, Godfrey, for us as a society. And I look at all societies, sure, and everyone has some form of respect and courtesy, etc. Now, a lot of efforts are being made to recognize the elders in one way or one way or the other. So we're on targets.
Oh, definitely. No, you mentioned in every community, every society, some levels of respect, and that is so important, Doc, because the thing is with respect and manners as we know it augurs very good relations between everyone, adults, youth, children, and in all different directions. So once there's some level of respect and manners, you have good relations. And something that has been around a lot lately, especially with what I would call bad behavior, disrespect. You hear people talking about, he disrespect me and he disrespect me and he disrespect me. And let me tell you something. Take a look and see what a disrespect is, and you just realize some people just do have no behavior. And and when you don't have behavior, it leads to disrespect. And so problems arise.
Well, before we go, Godfrey, let me just take 1 minute to show some respect. I think I started it last week by recognizing, I recognize people like Christine David and them out of Carico and the CCO, the drum group. But tonight, I want to come back to the mainland, and hopefully next week I will again go to Carico, because Carico has such a wealth of persons that probably, I believe, not given the full respect. So I want to bring some flowers or give some flowers to this group in Grenada. This group was founded in 1974. It's the Vinue La Grenade. And
yes.
Persons like Gloria Payne Banfield, co-founder, main founder of this group. But we also had someone in a very young age named Dave Thomas. And in this last maybe 25 years or thereabout, Dave Thomas has been the artistic director of Vinue La Grenade. And Vinue La Grenade has been one of those groups that actually are the preservers of our traditional culture. So just want to say, send enough greetings to Dave, the Oditi, and all the persons like the Karina and the Jackie Hope and the Keith Williams, those persons that stayed and, dance and the drum and they do a kind of dramatization to keep our culture alive. I just want to, on We Culture, want to recognize the effort of Vinue, but in particular want to pay homage to Dave Thomas for his sterling contribution towards the culture of Grenada. So I think I wanted to do that. So we just want to move now to our main topic. Like I believe respect is the fabric of, it is so much intertwined into the fabric of our society, all aspects. And our civilization, the more one gets civilized, the more we recognize persons and differences. So, example, like in the African society, in particular the West African society, people have a tendency to say uncle, refer to the older ones as uncle and auntie, etc. Giving them the respect because of their seniority, not because they are richer or they have more qualification in anything, but the fact that they are older, and by meaning older, it means that they have some level of experience with them. And in a Muslim, again, just the greeting, they would say Assalamu alaikum as they greet their brothers. The Rastas might say Ailai, which greets you. Yeah, right, and that is a greet you. And lately in Grenada that we had the invasion, maybe not I would say the invasion, but of some communist tenets, and they would say, people would greet each other like comrades, comrades, etc. And I believe all of them serve the same purpose as saying good day. They greet you with a sense of friendliness, and as I said last week, the sense of peace. And I think that is what greetings and respect, that's what it does. It creates this calm, in breaking the ice. I know I repeated that last week, but I can't help but repeating that again. I know in places like Canada and in states, sometimes they have special programs for the elderly, special passes, special discount. I know, like in Toronto, once you, I think it was 60 or 65, you can ride the bus. Is there free because you believe you have paid your dues, your service to society. So I'm saying all that to say that respect is not being afraid of. Respect is not kowtowing to, not is actually respecting someone is just extending some level of politeness. It's just extending this sense of your own humanity, embracing humanity on one level. It's not one better than the other. So when you pass somewhere and you say, hello or good afternoon or good morning, it's a good feeling one gets when they are greeted like that. And for me in particular, like in my home, I might have children come in and say, Livingston. and I find that extremely disrespectful.
But if somebody come and they say, pumpkin.
well, somebody can actually, Godfrey, to say that is those people that call me pumpkin. Example, I used to teach at Hermitage, and children used to call me Nello. Right. To me, that must be like the sweetest song.
That short for Nelson.
Admiration. Yeah, it was like they were kind of respect, but like admiration. And somebody called you pumpkin. All those persons that call me pumpkin are persons that have some kind of respect and some admiration for me. So they are expressing a love. So
definitely, especially, and in the case of or someone calling you pumpkin, if you understand the background of the name, and why the name was given, it definitely shows a lot of respect, because maybe people don't know why they call it pumpkin. Pumpkin was a fast bowler that you.
I was fast to say I was a fast bowler.
Well, I know about that, but even the fella, the original pumpkin, I find he was fast to say he fast. He just used to jump up high in the air. But no, it that's the beauty of it. The whole thing about being a fast bowler, of course, in those days with the parish cricket and village cricket, that was a big thing. When a man is a fast bowler, I mean, look. Your brother Gravels, everybody afraid Gravels. The Gravels was one of the fastest bowlers he had in Grenada.
But even today, I mean, guys many tell me how Gravels was one of the most dangerous bowlers.
Nobody could get me to go. I ain't going in a wicket and Gravels bowling. No. But I think I chance with Kachi, but not Gravels. Definitely not. So that's the thing. I mean, these names, even though it's a nickname, but it has with it, some respect and all of that. Now, unlike some other names, it definitely disrespectful. You understand?
Yes.
Because if somebody come in man for kind a fighting, I know how long you want to call me that, but
some names.
Oh boy, our internet has started. In fact, Reece is having some issues with her connection. Apparently, it does.
You're right.
Yeah,
and some names are just really, it's just teasing.
Yes, yes, yeah.
It is tough. Example, there was this man, as I think I mentioned it in one of our programs, we used to call him Bull.
Yes.
False name. But, but even coming back to Gravels, when people say Gravels, or other brother named Rasto, when people say Gravels, Gravels got his name because his hair was so hard when he go to school and they try to comb his hair. But I mean, it was an embrace. People embraced him in that kind of way. It was like almost like a love affair, calling him a false name, and everybody accepted that. And I know persons like even hearing people, well, you see me with my straight to false name. So let me change that from false name.
But no, but you see, but that's the beauty about culture. Everything is so intertwined and connected. That's what makes it beautiful.
Yeah. So, but example for if we want to come closer to what we plan to discuss tonight as it relates to the elders and the kind of respect we show to the elders, it was not correct. It was not correct in the 60s, 70s, probably in the early 80s, to meet an old person on the road and pass them without saying good day, good morning, good afternoon. And usually, if you know the person well, you might have to add other titles like Tanti, Nene, or something like that. So you added more love to that layer of good morning, good day. So that was one. And then Godfrey, we also had this situation where growing up as a little boy, we had the boat bus.
Yes.
Those Liberty and Study Your Head. Dignity. Yes. And those kind of names are them. Princess Royal.
Yeah, Special K. All those.
those buses. And you go to that bus, you sit down. But if an older person come and there are no more seats, you are expected to get up and give the person a seat. That is how we treated the elderly people in our society. And even today, in the banks, you go to a store, a dentist office, a doctor office, and you're a younger person. I think it is expected. I believe it is done less, as you mentioned the word disrespect. But I believe if you everything is okay with you, you're feeling strong, you're healthy, and an older person come into that office, I believe you should be the one that should get up and offer.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. No.
I believe
that is respect.
That is respect.
In other words, you have good brought up see.
Yes. Or even like going back to the supermarket or the banks, now that we have this special condition that is afflicting society, and some people have to line up. I believe it is just good politeness, good courtesy. You see an elderly person at 80, you can't tell them they should stay home because they need the time all sometimes. And they come, I believe it is just proper. And you just give them a chance to go to the front of the line. So I believe that is okay. And and even I know growing up in Tivoli again, and you have some of those older persons, and they would be in the home, and then you're running your plane, and they say, Godfrey, come by. Usually they usually don't call you by your name. That's the boy.
Yeah. Definitely.
Boy, the shop at what was it? A ounce of cake butter.
A ounce of butter. A ounce of cake butter.
Or some kind of thing. He would send you, and you are expected to
go. Of course, you have to go.
To go and run the errands for to those persons. Sometimes even to go and get a bucket of water or a cup of water in the pipe. That being me. So again, and the older persons also had chances to discipline you when you do wrong, and you should be accepting you. You had to accept your discipline without being rude, without showing rudeness, or anything like that. Otherwise, how it used to be in society, you would hear the other side of that. Discipline being on you, exacted on you by your parents.
Yes.
So, yeah. So I have a few others, but I don't know if we should just continue going on. But again, respect as it relates to the elderly has been something that is totally entrenched. And when you look at other societies, as I just mentioned, the example that you had, like in Canada, or the way they address the elderly in most of the West African countries, you will recognize that the elderly sits higher on that level of society. The age come with some level of respect immediately, according to them, and the younger ones are expected to do that. I think as we discuss respect, you would see a lot of examples.
Well, you mentioned. Let me just butt in here a bit. You were talking earlier about like on the buses and in the banks and other places of business that you go, and you have to extend some level of respect to the elderly. And you recall if you probably walking the road and you saw an elderly person maybe going along and they have a bag, and you are supposed to help them. You're supposed to give them some kind of assistance, because if you don't, you could end up in problems if that person decided to complain on your parents, or even if it was a case and they used to say, your child passed and he didn't tell me howdy.
Yes.
No,
yes.
That is a problem. You're supposed to tell an elderly person howdy.
But Godfrey, as you mentioned about the bag, you know how much blessings, I would say blessings you would get when you perform a duty out of kindness, not because you had to, because you could have hide, you could have run, you didn't have to take the bag. But if you took that bag willingly and carried, you know how much blessings those older persons would bestow upon you.
Yeah. In fact, they would tell you. They would tell you when you get home. They go say, "Thank you, child. God go bless you."
Yeah. And then what was really nice, they would say, boy, Gladys, you have a nice little son.
Definitely.
Boy, yes.
The boy I respect. You bring him up good. No, I mean it was a lot of times. When you sort of sit and reflect on these things, maybe as a young boy growing up and having to probably do these things, it didn't always go down well with you. But the truth is, you kind of almost didn't have a choice if you didn't want to get the other end of it when you get home. But now, when you sort of sit as adults and you reflect on these things, they played such a critical role in your upbringing. And I think somewhere along the line, I don't know, Doc, I think we probably missed something, and I don't think that kind of respect and brought up was passed on. And so this is why I think we're seeing less and less of it nowadays. You probably ask the question, why do I need to respect, let's say, an older person? Because they are senior. That person, their contribution is significant, and so you have to show respect to that as a little fella.
But I think also what it did is that it teaches you humanity, humility, being sympathetic to those that are not as strong as. So, and I think if you push that argument a little further, you have to show some empathy to persons that are physically challenged, persons that are older, of course, persons that are not able to carry. So you are being taught to show respect and to show humility to those that are less, I would say, less fortunate. because now you're physically strong at that moment now, and you are expected to help those that are probably not as strong. You can run to the shop. They probably are a little bit more frail. They cannot do that. You are expected to help. And I think that kind of message is what helps fuse and keep our society together, that we have to look out for the weakest among us, and to help all those that probably might be in distress. One other area, I think that growing up, that we were expected to, well, we had to show some kind of respect, like your parents were in a conversation, two of them were talking, and it was not your business as a child to jot in, to eavesdrop on that kind of conversation, definitely. So particularly if two parents talking, you hear something by mistake, it is not your responsibility, duty, or your place to go and repeat that, because that was not your conversation. For matter of fact,
in other words, if your mother and let's say a neighbor make a little hypocrite on the next neighbor, you have to hush your mouth.
Yes, because you will get licks for that.
But that causing big confusion.
Yeah, you could get licks for that. Yeah.
and actually, one of the things that would come out of that too is that you ain't training the child right, because that child not supposed to be around when big people talking.
Exactly. And oftentimes they will tell you, that is the time you really had a permission sometimes, when the gossip gets sweet.
When you get nice.
You have a chance to, you're given permission to go and play, because that conversation was not good. And I also believe that is, if we go back, that is why we had the patois and the Creole.
Oh, definitely.
Spoken privately, because you were not supposed to understand big people conversation.
Right. Doc, let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to open our telephone lines and continue with the conversation. Reece is having some difficulty with the connection, so let's hope for the best. Stay with us, folks. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
We support you at every stage of your life.
For business,
for your education,
for your financial freedom,
for that new ride.
Upgrade your life with the Communal. Contact us today.
When a loved one passes on, we all need the comfort, support, and guidance of a trusted friend. You can rely on LaCour Brothers Funeral Home. We provide a personalized professional service that exceeds all expectations. Our dedicated staff responds to your every need with the greatest detail, ensuring affordability with a variety of options. Our upgraded state-of-the-art facilities, spacious air-conditioned chapel with live internet streaming, a modern, environmentally safe crematorium, the only of its kind on island, private viewing spaces, large on-site repast center, a modern transportation fleet. Join our burial society today and make personalized arrangements for that final moment as you prepare to enter your loved one into eternal rest. Visit or call LaCour Brothers Funeral Home and select a package that brings added comfort to the entire family. LaCour Brothers Funeral Home and Burial Society, continuing a tradition of excellence.
Level of convenience and comfort awaits you when you shop at Rise and Shine Supermarket and Hardware Supplies, Griffin Lane, Grenville. Convenient, because we are open Sunday to Sunday. We're even at your service on public holidays. Comfort, because we are easily accessible to the physically challenged. Free Wi-Fi is available while you shop, and bags come at no charge. Everyday low prices and excellent customer care. Adequate parking available. We supply everything you can possibly think of. Family and home supplies, fresh meat, vegetables, and personal care products. All brands of cooking gas at affordable prices. You can send in your order, have it pulled, or pick up express.
You can now send a gift card to your loved ones locally or internationally thanks to the food fair. Here's how it works. Click the gift card icon or banner. Customize your gift card by choosing from different templates, dollar amount, and personalized messages. You can also upload your personal design. Select Add to Cart and complete transaction. Allow relatives and friends to pick up an item or items at the food fair for the dollar value. Gift card. It's that easy.
Stop the spread of germs that can make you and others sick. Cover your nose and mouth with a tissue when you cough or sneeze. If you don't have a tissue, use your elbow. Wash hands often, especially after coughing or sneezing into a tissue.
That's not how you cross the pedestrian crossing.
Really? One day I just woke up and I saw pedestrian crosswalks on the road. No one really showed me how to use them properly.
Well, this is how it's done. You never cross before doing these things. They might save your life. First, when you get to the crosswalk, you stop. You look left, you look right. If there's a vehicle coming, you put your hand out, making eye contact with the driver, indicating that you want to cross. And only when the vehicle comes to a complete stop, you quickly cross to the other side.
Stop, look, hand out, eye contact. Wait for pedestrian to cross to the other side, then you happily continue on your journey. This message is brought to you by this group of insurance companies, the Traffic Advisory Body, and the Traffic Department.
Raise it high up the ladder, let we set it on fire.
Feel good facts. Avoid the most common causes of spreading the flu. Cover your coughs and sneezes with a tissue, dispose of it straight away, and either wash your hands or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer.
Looking for that injection of vibes and energy, of course? Well, I've got just that. Hi, my name is Gary Mr. Smooth, and I'm inviting you to join me on the Hot Morning Show on Hot 98.5, 98.7 FM. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 10 in the morning. I've got a healthy dose of your favorite and most infectious hits sampled with information, news, laughter, and all the other ingredients that go into making the hottest morning show on the radio. The Morning Heat. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit us up on WhatsApp, 435-7517. We've got topics, we've got discussions, calls, voice notes, and so much more. But I can't tell you everything. You gotta tune in. The Hot Morning Show on Hot FM 98.5, 98.7 with yours truly, Gary Mr. Smooth. Kaboom!
Raise it high up the ladder, let we set it on fire. Higher, give us a fire. A little more calypso.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Oui Culture. Myself and Doc, we're here with you this evening. Scholar is unable to make it, and Reece is experiencing some internet problem, and so she's trying. So once everything works well, she will be joining us. Doc, we have a couple Facebook comments. Well, most people are just greeting good night. Monty Williams said, good night, We Culture. My first time listening and watching you, and both of you are having fun. Nice topic. Working tonight, so only on my break I'm going to finish watching. Safe journey home. Thumbs up from New York. Tronic Track is saying knowledge increase, but wisdom decreases. Ingrid Bourne, that was a long time, not now. You can't trust anyone now with your bag. Interesting. Cynthia B says, not now. In Toronto, on the buses, they're supposed to have seats saying priority for senior, pregnant, and disabled. But we see able-bodied people seating. Only if a person is using a wheelchair, when the driver has to lower the ramp, they might get up. Times have changed. I certainly do not have a free ride privilege. Someone is asking where's the other two tonight. Of course, we addressed that. Lydia Cameron says charity begins at home, not anymore. Cynthia B says, but once we caught one or two words, we got the idea of the conversation. Well, they came on late. Meros William is saying, good night, Godfrey. Good night, Auntie Meros. Hope you're having a good time. So that's it for Facebook comments so far. Let me see if we have anything on the program. Someone is asking, what is the value of this program? What is the message to society? Well, if you stay with us, you definitely will get it. All right. Okay, so that's it for the comments so far. Our telephone line is open. The number is 435-2041. So folks, you can give us a call, and you can definitely be part of the discussion. We're looking at the sort of respect among elderly and what has happened nowadays. Doc, we are definitely losing that part of the culture, the culture of showing respect to our elderly. How did we get here?
I don't know if it's just to the elderly. We are just definitely not showing respect to each other.
Right.
People become so individualistic, and this whole sense of community and community harmony seem to be dissipating, seem to be going its own way. So I think what is happening, our attitude towards the elderly is a general reflection of the direction in which we are going as it relates to showing respect to each other, period. So, and I'm trying to wonder, Godfrey, what would be a new society? How would it look like down the road if we continue that trend? Meaning that I would pass you and it is no big deal. I don't need to be your friend. I don't have to say hello to you. I would enter a room. We have a planned meeting, 5, 6, 8, 10 persons. And I just walk in and I just sit down. And, there is nothing to break the ice, to say hello, good night, good evening, everybody, these kind of things. So I think we are heading down that road. I don't know what we could do to stop it. But I remember one time looking at a program, and Oprah Winfrey, she was decrying the fact that, we are losing that, and she believed that it was an important thing to stay in society, that we should say good morning, good afternoon, thank you, how are you, excuse me, please, those kind of things. I mean, what do I say if I am passing, let us say I'm on a bus, well, we don't have that kind of bus. Yeah, on a bus, I'm sitting in the back, and I stop, and I want to get out. Do I ask the person in front of me excuse, or I just push? I mean, what do I do? So when we look at that, I don't know what is it are we gaining by not passing it on. And then the question is, again, I think we have had a lot of young persons, because I answered the question how you asked. We have a lot of young persons they have become parents, and people get so busy and they just not up to the task of passing that knowledge. They become so busy with, I would say, probably surviving. Because to teach respect, you might have to tell your child or children to say good morning 100 times before they get it, say thank you, 50, 60 times before they learn that.
Well, you actually will have to practice it. You have to start by telling your child good morning, and when your child does something, you say thank you. And I think that's how it's passed on, because when you constantly experience something, then it becomes part of you. And I think this is what has happened. Somewhere along the line, I think the adults probably stopped playing their role in earning respect. And so the younger ones did not understand that part of it. And so it's no big deal. But Doc, the telephone is going. Let's take a call. Oui Culture, good evening. Hello?
Yes, good night.
Yes, good evening, caller.
How are you doing?
Very good.
And good night to the doc. There you talk
yes,
respect. I could remember in my early years, we were taught to respect people. Morning, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. We were taught that. And we had so much respect for people that sometimes you pass and you're afraid to call them because you're afraid they say really rude. But you'll get licks if you fail to do that. I got licks for that. And so there's a disconnect now. There's a disconnect. Police officers, once you see a police officer, you stand straight. You see a teacher, you stand straight. You see what you call a standing citizen in the community, you stand straight. A civil servant, you stand straight. You bow. These days, because we are not interacting on that human level with the society, and we have broken down socially. And I think it is coming from the economic side of it. Too much stress on parents, and as a result of that, it's trickling down to the younger ones. And so no one has respect for each other. We're ready to quarrel and curse each other. And then to crown it all off is the leadership. We don't have the leadership which interact with you on that humble human basis. You meet your representative and you have a nice conversation with you, will ask you a question and so forth. We don't have that anymore. The representative will just pass, look your, sometimes we even look your way. He's gone about his business. So all those things is contributing to what you see. The youth is left alone. Nobody wants to associate with the youth anymore, so they're on their own. So that's the reason why you see they're behaving in the way they're behaving there. They're restless, and they just does not care. How do we get it back? I think we have, once again, leadership have to understand the role and responsibility, and they are accountable for that. And start what we used to do way back when. Bring it back, because it will not come back except leadership. You can put it in school as much as you want. If leaders do not take the lead and show that they're ready to change, then it will not change. So that's where we are.
Okay, thank you, caller. Thank you very much indeed. Doc, a comment just came up here on the WhatsApp platform. It says, respect must be earned regardless of age. Why don't the older people respect children? No wonder so many child molesters around. Well, that's a different angle, indeed, yes.
So do the majority of older people harass or sexually abuse children?
Well, well, no, you do find those, but
people are so preoccupied with only that. But anyway, let me about it. The thing I'm asking, is having respect, is it necessary? Is it relevant in today's society? If we don't show that kind of respect to people, right? If we don't have that kind of respect, if they will continue at the rate we go in there, what eventually will happen? But if it is necessary, Godfrey, and following up on the previous caller, if it is necessary, then it is something that we have to think about. How do we get it as part of society? Now, one of the breakdown I have seen, you go to a function, and Grenadians are climbing on Grenadians to go in front. Everybody is passing, climbing on people. But you go to in a next society, and let us just say here in Grenada, you go to St. George's University and the children have to get the bus. They actually line up. They line up. But here, everybody is, you go to the bus terminal, and everybody is rushing. It's like there seem to be no line, who come first, who come second, it doesn't matter. It's who will get inside first. And I mean, is that a better way of behavior? And I think not. I don't think it is a better way.
Here is a problem. Here is something that can happen as a result of that lack of respect for each other. Generally, at some point we do need each other because we're not isolated. We're not living in a world by ourselves. So we need each other. Now, if we live in a world of gross disrespect, how are we going to get the assistance we require at some point? Now, imagine, for example, some disrespectful person, so to speak, find themselves in a situation where they need assistance from somebody else or from some other persons. What is going to happen? What is going to happen? If we continue that way, we're going to have a lot of problems. So it is important because, let me tell you, the elderly folks had a thing they used to say. You never know where you will fall. Yeah. You never know where you will fall. So it is important to respect people because when you fall, depending on where you fall, you would need somebody at some point to give a helping hand. And this is one of the things that disrespect can completely erode, get rid of. And if that is gotten rid of, we have a problem. Major problem in our society. Because when you're disrespectful, let me tell you, bro, nobody would want nothing to do with you.
Exactly.
Nobody wants nothing to do with you. And so that is one of the issues that we need to pay attention to as it relates to ensuring that respect in our society remains. Very, 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 very important. Someone is saying on the actually Honesto is saying good night. So good night, bro. Ingrid Bourne is saying the world nowadays doesn't understand the word respect. Ask them about disrespect and they would understand everything is about fighting for what? Honesto is saying in the USA especially, on the buses or train, you will get up to give a pregnant woman, elderly, or someone with a baby or small children whenever all the seats may be occupied. We'll offer the seat to them as a form of being polite. Definitely. And we did mention earlier, respect and being polite, because being polite definitely is a form of respect to pregnant women and women with children, and so people who are, not in a position to maneuver as well as they would like to. You show some level of politeness to them, and all that is part of respect. We have another comment on the WhatsApp platform. Good night. Quite a number of young parents don't train their children in proper courtesy. Some parents say it's a child when they are disrespectful to the elders. Instead, they should encourage young ones to apologize. So doing will seldom practice that again. So they're saying when children, when they sort of display disrespect, they should be made to apologize so that they understand that is not the way things are supposed to happen.
But the first teacher are the parents, right?
Yes.
The teachers are the teachers are the parents, and when the parents when they do not do a very good job, then you go to the second tier, which are the teachers, right? So the teachers. So those societal norms should start at home. Go to the school should be reinforced or probably enlarged at the home, and the rest of society again should help conform those social norms that we accept to be standard bearers of our values, etc., reflection of our values. So the parents, they are expected to say, okay, well, you should say good morning, you should say please, you should say thank you. That does not happen. Then when they go to school, it should be reinforced at the school. So I remember the first thing we had to do on mornings when the bell rang, everybody went to the line. You stay in your line, and then you enter in the classroom through the lines. And then the teacher would think about okay, your hygiene, they look at your nails, your hair, they say thank you, you say please, etc., etc. Those things were taught. And again, you go to the larger society, and your elders, your auntie, your friends, your neighbors, they would give you, let us say, a water lemon that was scarce, or a water lemon, they come from the garden, and your parents are expected to say thanks. Or your neighbor that gave you that fruit would ask you to say thanks. So those values were supposed to be reinforced. So by the time you reach a teenager, by the time you reach 13, you had a dumb pack, to say thanks, excuse me, etc. And this becomes second nature because everybody is saying that is what you should say. But when the parents are not saying it, the parents seem not to care. They seem not to be aware that they should say excuse me or please or thank you. And if the teachers are not doing it, and the society is not doing it, then somebody make the point earlier on. We would forget what is actually respect, and we would have a confrontation where say that, boy, you disrespect me. And in order to settle that disrespect, I would bust your head, I would pull a gun, I will cut you because you disrespect me. So in the failure of enforcing or enshrining those kind of values and morals that we have, like those kind of values as really those norms, as courtesies and respect in our society, we would end up with a situation where everybody is clamoring on the reverse and say, well, go disrespect.
You disrespect, Let's go to the telephone. We Culture, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, caller.
Yeah, to your guests and to the listening public. I want to start out by saying that if someone have respect and manners, it can carry them far to the White House or maybe the royal family. Respect will carry along with it and manners. But what I have seen, if you look at the parents nowadays growing the kids, you can see that most time a parent is having a conversation and they have the young kid with their children. And the children will interrupt. And the parents not telling them to stop that or hold on a minute, they're having a conversation. Growing up, we couldn't do that. We would have get lashed. So we have ourselves to blame as parents. And also the school, the education system. Do you remember the amount of lash we used to get in school for doing wrong things? Now they cut off capital punishment in school. Also the family structure, which I talk about, have a role. The media have a role to play. So when there is a breakdown right now in the way we socialize our young kids, I don't think it's going to get better. You're getting worse. That's what I want to say.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much indeed. Doc, let's just take our final break and we're going to come back. I have a question I would like to throw at you and also to our listeners. And of course, we'll take that when we come from the break in a moment. Stay with us. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
You can now send a gift card to your loved ones locally or internationally thanks to the food fair. Here's how it works. Click the gift card icon or banner. Customize your gift card by choosing from different templates, dollar amount, and personalized messages. You can also upload your personal design. Select Add to Cart and complete transaction. Allow relatives and friends to pick up an item or items at the food fair for the dollar value. Gift card. It's that easy.
Grenada's chief medical officer has ordered that all confirmed positive COVID-19 individuals, their contacts, and members of their household must remain in quarantine or isolation for 14 days. Anyone who fails to comply with this order will be in breach of the Public Health COVID-19 Regulations 2020 and is guilty of an offense. Upon summary conviction, that person will be liable to a penalty of up to $10,000. A message from the Ministry of Health.
What does it take to be an amazing woman? Lots of me time. Amazing women are classy, fancy, and a little sassy. It's the drink for me. Cheers! Sometimes you've got to show them who's boss. Alpha male? Nah, alpha females are more amazing. Cheers to securing the bag. We make time for ourselves, for work, friends, and we certainly make time for passion. We're simply amazing. Amazing cream liqueur for the amazing woman in you.
This is a message from the Ministry of Health. If you or a family member suspect that you may have contracted COVID-19 and are displaying symptoms, please immediately self-isolate at home. This means that you must also avoid all contact with other members of your household. Do not visit hospitals or health centers, as this creates the potential for further spread of the virus, and it puts additional persons at risk when you come into contact with them. Your best course of action is to call the COVID-19 hotline at 458-4787 or 538-4787, or contact your nearest health center or medical station. Once your information has been received, health officials will come to you. Help prevent the spread of COVID-19. This has been a message from the Ministry of Health.
To see my granddaughter.
Protect yourself and our community from COVID-19. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 70% alcohol. Use a tissue when blowing your nose, sneezing, or coughing. Immediately discard the tissue properly and wash or sanitize your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Let's do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. To stay up to date, visit the Government of Grenada's webpage or the Ministry of Health's Facebook page. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health's hotline by calling 53-VIRUS. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
Raise it high up the ladder, let we set it on fire. So higher, give me some fire. A little more calypso, forget the funk and the disco. So higher, give me some fire. A little more limbo, a little more shango. So higher, give me some fire. Kindly greasy pole, and we don't dance from the maple. Raise it high up the ladder, let we set it on fire. So higher, give me some fire. A little more calypso, forget the funk and the disco. So higher, give me some fire. A little more limbo, a little Come on, Shango. Kindly greasy pole, and we don't dance round the maypole.
Welcome back, folks. It's We Culture, and Doc, we have a couple comments on the Facebook chat. Let's see. Ernesto is saying, I remember doing 2 shifts, very tired on a bus, and there a senior citizen who came where I was sitting and wanted me to give her my single seat. But the bus wasn't full and there were other seats available. But she insisted that. Where she wanted to sit, I refused and closed my eyes so I didn't have to look at her until I reached my stop. Joan Wellington says, respect is lost because of generation changes. Lots of the things we grew up with is a thing of the past, and so is respect. Some of the parents now are very young who doesn't know of respect themselves, so they cannot pass it on to the young ones. Ernesto says, I don't know where that concept, well, I guess came from, that men always have to give up their seats, like men doesn't be tired also. Plus, you will hear comments as, you're not being a gentleman if you didn't go along. Ingrid Bond says, charity begins at home, and nowadays you cannot talk hard to your children because because everything is abusive now. Ernesto says, respect shouldn't be something you demand, but it should be given to who deserves it. Yes, indeed. Very interesting. Doc, serious. Why men always expect you to seriously?
Godfrey, contrary to what Reece, my friend, contrary to what Reece was saying last week, I mean, I think in it, is our desire to protect, to cherish, to love, to pamper. So we always, anything happen, and I mean, we didn't get that far. If I always say, if there is a fire and a man is being stuck, I cannot see a woman running into that fire to rescue him. But if you turn the table around and a woman is there, most likely a man would jump in the sea, jump in the ocean, jump in that fire to save the woman. I think it's in us. So we want to pamper them, we want to protect them, we want to see them happy. So if on the bus, a woman, we feel she's, the first person to, the most likely person to get up would be the man. That might be something in the past, I'm not so sure, because I see some changes now taking place. Or they still didn't get up at all.
No. I mean, listen. The given fact is, women, and I think I said so since the very first program we had. Women have been, very protected. And not that I have a problem with that, but I think a lot of the things that is happening as it relates to men and women is because of the protection, the amount of protection that women has been given from birth. But let's go to the telephone. The phone is going. We Culture, good evening. No, well, we lost that one there. I think we waited too long before we take it. 435-2041, that's the number you can call, and of course you can be part of the conversation. Let's go back again. We Culture, good evening.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
Good.
Well, since I grown up, I always hear my mother say, manners make it man. If you don't have manners, you're not a man. Sometimes, right now, these days, I see if two people speaking by the road and a child passing, the child want to pass in the middle of the two persons speaking. Long time ago, we have to pass on the side. If you want to pass between you, somebody running behind you, and someone is speaking close in the road, you could say it's true while running, because sometimes somebody running to knock you down, and you end up passing through the two people, and you don't even know because somebody running behind you. Manners always make it man. These young people nowadays, they say, they're long time, this is modern, and what kind of stupidness is that? What? Okay, one time I heard a child was speaking, and the four letter come out so rapidly, but she forget that she don't have to curse. She just have to speak frequently, and she just let go that four. I said, when I look, you forget. You're not supposed to, cause at all time, you can't remember when you have to close your beak. Oh my God. You're supposed to have respect for the elderly.
Thank you, caller. Thank you. You know, Doc, that's a very interesting point that the caller raised, the issue of cussing. And, you know, maybe that's a program in itself. But there are three particular words that, I mean, I don't know. It's something I've thought about. We refer to them as cuss words. The obscene. As a matter of fact, even in the laws of the land, if they are used, you could end up in jail.
Right.
And of course, it is being disrespectful, because if you tell someone, you use one of those words to someone, then it is definitely a form of disrespect, and the person can take court action. They could give you police, they could bring you up, all kind of thing.
What I've seen these days, some people, I mean, I'm hearing it so often, some of what we term obscenities, and people are saying it in the public almost openly, in cars with music, people posting things on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know, it is a little disturbing to me. When I hear it on people passing in the cars, etc., and they pumping up the music and as an obscenity, or they have this sound system in the home and that is what they play within the earshot of everybody, or people on Facebook and they're doing that. And I just, again, maybe I'm from the old school, but it is really upsetting to me that that is where we are going, because it shows our limitation, that we can discuss, we can get things through without having to be so disrespectful or having to use those language. And I did confront a young person I heard that was listening to me. He said, just another word. It's just an adjective. That it does not mean anything more. It does not mean anything less. It's just an adjective.
No, definitely, and that's where I was going to, because it has almost become the norm. In conversation, people just use them loosely and no big deal. So now if you tell somebody that, no biggie, because it is not, in some cases, especially among the younger ones, it is okay.
But I remember just not too long ago, well, let's say not a couple of years ago, there's a cuss word if you actually use it to a guy, which, you know, that means that you're really ready to fight.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But I don't know, right now maybe it's not such a big deal anymore. So maybe we are losing some respect in terms of that protection, or, you know, for mothers, because it was like, you cannot disrespect my mother name, you cannot disrespect my mother like that. But now it's becoming something of the past, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely so. We have a couple comments, and I see Reece is probably getting through, so she should be joining us shortly, Doc. Hannah, good night, Hannah. She's saying most time you attend a funeral and the church is full, and it is so sad that the men are sitting down hard, and would not give a lady a seat. Respect shouldn't be something you demand. It should be something you earn. Someone says most of the men don't give up their seat. And right, yeah. So that's it. So, Doc, I think we need to welcome the Queen.
The Queen.
Good night, fella.
I would choose to be positive and say good night.
Well, you get
a few seconds ago, I didn't know what was so good about the evening anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them treat the men and them.
So
But look.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I figure, Doc, I figure because she knows scholar in there, and I mean, well, I just easy, so you look at things bright, boy.
I don't know what you're talking about now.
Doc,
I have no idea.
Doc, I find the earring matching your shirt too.
I tell you, I got 3D special there.
Yeah.
Africana.
Yeah, 3D special. I say,
well, that's what I'm saying.
You sit down there with your spring scarf.
Let me tell you something. Inside here, real cold. That's to keep me warm. You know what I mean? That's not style. That's to keep me warm and thing. And then when you get real cold, I just do that.
Well, there you go. There you go, Santa.
So we really happy that you're able to join us. I'm happy that you get through with you. Somebody was disrespecting you, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm tired. And I will start to call name again, eh?
Well, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I'm tired.
I have no problem with that at all.
Like that river don't flowing, that river stagnant.
Yeah?
Flowing.
So we were talking about disrespect and the elderly and women and so. We talk quite a bit. So we want to bring in right away to get your views on this.
I heard, I tried to listen while I was having my problems, and I think it's our very first caller, maybe the first or the second, a gentleman. He spoke about the leadership and how is it that these are things of the past, and to bring it back, the leadership have to come into play. And I want to agree with him. But I want to also add to a lot what Livingston would have said earlier, and even other callers. As parents today, we are younger. I'm not saying that there weren't very young parents then, but we have a lot of young parents today. But a lot of young parents who are multitasking. Mm-hmm. We are raising families. We are out on the job, frustrated. We are dealing with the frustrations of everyday life, just trying to make sense of things, make a living, ensure that children stay on the right path. They are very much full-time jobs that you do every day, and it's a difficult thing. When you grow up a certain way and you know to yourself what is right, what is wrong, how is it that you want your children to be, the values and the discipline and thing that you need to instill in them. But sometimes it is as simple as you're just tired.
Yes.
You're just tired. It's like it's a little bit. It is easier. Sorry, for you to just probably just go to sleep sometimes or postpone it. As opposed to maybe when I was growing up, my parents would have dealt with things right there and then. And you kind of went from one to the other, and it was well instilled in you to never make that mistake again. But now we are tired. Parents are tired. And it's not like the situation of single parenting wasn't there before, or younger parents weren't there before. They were all there. But I think, juggling school, work, the frustrations of life, the children, the different influences that you have to combat when it comes to your children, all of these things just have parents really tired. That we start looking at what we call now bigger and more damaging things than, about, saving our children from making jail and these kinds of things, as opposed to the little conversations that you need to have and you need to stick to having to ensure that the children have what you call brought up seed, and that it's well instilled that they can pass it on for the generations to come. So I think we're just tired.
Right, but can and I understand that, and I hear you, and I mean it does make sense, but can that tiredness land us in some problems down the road because we're not able to do what we probably should.
I think you should be talking in the past right now. It has landed us in a lot of problems.
Well, there we go.
You know, when children can go to school and think that they can stand up to their teachers, not in the way of challenging them on information and new learnings and that kind of thing, but stand up to them and utter things like bringing my mother for you or going for my mother and my mother say don't do this and whatever. I mean, it speaks to it. It speaks to the effect of whether it is us being very tired or us just not caring or us feeling that we don't want our children to grow up the way we grew up, or, you know, instead of seeing it as disciplining but feeling more like you were picked on, or, you know, some of us might call it majoring in minor. You know, whatever is the reason, the effects are already there.
No, definitely.
Already there. I mean, so the caller is right. The leadership, we need to take charge, and we need to make a concerted, a deliberate effort to say that as a parent, I'm going to slow down. I am going to spend more time. I am going to see what is important and what is not important. I am going to stop probably pursuing acquisition of more material things and look at more the quality of child that I am bringing into society. And maybe then that might help.
Right. Doc, you were saying?
Yeah, I know I spoke a lot earlier on, so I want Reece to catch up, but just something that came. I was talking to a young lady earlier this week. She has a baby, a 1 year old, and she's purchasing milk. So I said, well, why you have to purchase milk? You know that breastfeeding is the best. And she said, sir, I stopped breastfeeding my child after 3 months. At 3 months, after 3 months leave from my job, I came back. I'm working, I'm taking classes. When I reach home, I'm so tired that some evening I don't even have time to bed. I go straight to bed. I cannot afford to breastfeed. So what we see, I just build on what we see saying. This idea of we now in that rat race, trying to accumulate earnings. We remember women now that was that foundation that stayed home and passed on those morals, those principles that we want enshrined in the children. They are now in the workplace. The father are in the workplace. So what you find happening now, some of them will leave the children at early age and go overseas or go and pursue their career or the academic. So when they reach home, everyone is actually too tired to sit down and repeat to the child, say thank you. For, you know, and they don't really have that interaction. So the child grew up almost parentless, for want of a word. You have this part-time parenting that is being done. And I believe that is what is showing up now in society, more and more, where society seems to be degrading because of that lack of that entrenched belief and culture and morals that we should be passing on.
Okay, we have a couple comments on the WhatsApp platform.
We should take some calls.
Yes, we'll take some calls right after. Someone is saying, good night, just a comment. The reason men don't give up their seats to ladies at funeral is because men are always early at funeral and ladies always late. So ladies, all they better learn to go to funeral early if all they want to get seat. Someone else is saying, but Godfrey, where did the young people get all this from? I don't think the adults did a good job. Someone else is saying, yes, obscenity is now the order of the day. I cringe when I hear young people letting those words to flow from their mouth. Very disrespectful. Reece, you can access the WhatsApp?
Yes, I can.
We could take it from, I read a couple, so we could take it from Ernesto speaking about the 4-letter word.
In the USA?
Yes,
Okay, about pregnant women. That's okay. So I'll go down. And stop me if I'm repeating something. I remember that's Jose. I remember doing 2 shifts.
Yeah, we took that one already. We got this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me go down. Respect is lost. I don't know where that concept came from that men always have to give up their seats, like men doesn't. Oh, I think you read that one.
Yeah, I did that one as well. Mm.
Let me go down. Right, the full. Okay, I'm seeing the full letter word.
Right, so that's where it starts. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Jose is saying, good night, Reece. You look great. Nice airing. I heard you take a beating last week. I'm sorry I wasn't at your defense, but we're good tonight. I had chosen to listen and not to type. No, Jose, I did not get a beating. I handled myself well. I was outnumbered in terms of male versus female, but I was not beaten, and I know that you would have just added more to it. That's all.
Before you continue, Reece, let me just tell you, and I think I should tell you here, the following day I met our darling friend Susan, and Susan tell me, she said, listen, Reece handle all you. Reece had to be my child. She said, Reece had to be my child. She handle all you. I say, all right, Susan.
I don't need to say mommy because she likes to be called Susan.
There we go. All right. Continue.
So, Jose said again, Reece, you're lucky Godfrey wasn't beaten for late. But you took a lot of beating last show already, so you passed. No, Jose, you have it wrong. I did a beating. Now, Ingrid is saying, Reece, if you check the age of our parents and grandparents, most of them was younger, I agree. But they teach us respect. Now is a different generation who like to fight. So no one cannot speak to them. So you will not get respect from this generation. Kipling Francis is saying, we started losing respect when parents start having children same age or younger than their grandchildren. Okay. And Jose is saying, good night. Haha, maybe you should get to the church early so we men won't take all the seats. The early bird catches the worm. That's what I'm seeing here for the Facebook. When I go to the Oui Culture YouTube, I'm not seeing anything right now, so that's it for us.
Right, yes, yeah. I don't think we missed anything. Did you see this one? Let me see. Reece, if you check the age of our parents and grandparents, most of them was younger.
You read that.
Oh, you read that one? Okay, right, okay, lovely. Right, so let's go to the telephone. We have some calls. Oui Culture, good evening.
Yes, good evening once again. No, I want to applaud the lady for what she said, because yes, today is a different era that we are living in. Parents are very tired, both men and women, and have very little time to supervise. So children has become adults before the time. But let me bring you to another area, because it's a serious, very serious area. What has happened to the teachers recently with the 4%? And the way they behave, all those things contribute to breakdown, lack of respect, and trickle down to children. The other area is look at parliaments, not only in Grenada, but in Trinidad, Barbados, Guyana, Jamaica. The behavior of our politicians doesn't lend itself to corrective leadership. So we have to look at that angle too. If it's that bad up there, obviously it will trickle down. So we have lost respect right across the board. Don't leave that out.
Thank you very much indeed, caller. 435-2041, that's the number you can call, and definitely you can share your views on the program. Let's go back to our telephone. Oui Culture, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Suddenly, we are losing a lot of things. I left my village. I came to a new village, another village in the parish, and over the years, all the senior people never passed me and just called me in my name just so. They said, Mister. But what I've observed is that the younger people are now, they watch you and they show you no respect. So what has happened there? I remember years ago when we were growing up, there was a story about this man who had a bakery, right? So his name was Haynes. So it happened that one day, one of his cousins went to the shop, and he saw the owner of the bakery there. So the guy who went in, he said, he reasoned with himself, with himself. He said, I can't just go and ask for Haynes cake. So he said, excuse me, Cousin Haynes, I want to get Penny Haynes cake. So you see the level of respect that he had. The man was there, so he couldn't just say, I want Haynes cake. So he said, excuse me. You know, and earlier, in one of the earlier programs, one grandmother said she don't want grandchildren call her grandma. Because we have gotten to the point where we say, when children say grandma or grandpa, they make them old. But hear what one preacher said. He said, if your son didn't have a child, he wouldn't be grand. And when the grandson has a child, he become great-grand. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much indeed. 435-2041. That's the number you can call. And, of course, you can have your say. Let's go back to a telephone. Oui Culture, good evening.
Oui Culture, good evening. With respect to the previous caller who spoke of the breakdown when, teachers and the 4%, I really would like him, to explain where did the teachers go wrong. In standing up for 4% is disrespecting. I really need an explanation on that. I just don't understand the disrespect. Because for ages and for all of the years, various unions have been standing up for what they believe is rightfully theirs. I just really would like an explanation on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much indeed. Well, if the previous caller is listening, they can call back and respond to that. Let's go back to the telephone. Oui Culture, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening. Can you speak a little louder, please, caller? Yeah.
Yeah. I remember in primary school, growing up in primary school, we used to have a thing called Courtesy Week, where every class used to choose somebody to be the most courteous person in the class. And then they would have it on a school basis. So during that time, everybody would try to display good manners, good morning, good evening, excuse me, please, and so on. It used to be nice. It used to be held in October. I remember that very well. They need to bring that back in school again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much indeed. 435-2041. That's the number. Let's go back to a telephone. Oui Culture, good evening.
Oh, yes. Good afternoon once again. Now, the lady wanted an explanation. And the reason why I bring in that is because these people, I believe, were disrespected. And that's the reason why they had to be demonstrating. And as I said, what they did in terms of how they carry themselves on the street, that was spoken about. And that's what I'm saying, there's an example. Now, if they were forced to do that, right, the little ones are going to see that too. And they might emulate the same thing. But why did they do it? They did it because the rights were taken away from them. And that's why I factor in leadership in the Caribbean to make the point. So sometimes this behavior that the children are practicing comes from on top. The examples are from there. Because if the teachers and civil servants was not pressured, they would not demonstrate and display what we saw the display, which some people thought it was vulgar on the street. So I hope that explains to her. I wasn't condemning them.
Okay, thank you, caller. Well, I hope between the two of them they can agree on whether what is disrespect and what is not disrespect. You guys want to come in on anything that was said so far?
I think it's clear now.
Okay, great. 435-2041. That's the number, and of course, you can have your piece on the program this evening. Let's go back to a telephone. Oui Culture, good evening. Hello.
Good night, Doc. Good night, Dick. Good night, Reece. Reece, you're so special tonight. I said I didn't call you, but when I see you up here, I had to call you. You look like a rose that just blossomed.
Thank you.
Godfrey.
Wait.
You hear I call you? Livingston is Doc and you is Dick.
I have a problem with that. I take it anything. That is respect.
Watch me. Long time when you hear parents talking and you stand up there and you don't want to move. One eye they're giving you, Godfrey. You never get an eye yet. When you hear they cross the eye, you have to run, you know.
When you get the eye, you feeling it, you know.
If you feeling it, the eye was another shot whip, you know. One eye, but you have to move quick. If you don't move, well, you know. So I see I didn't call in tonight, but when I see Reece up here, and where's condensed milk tonight?
I know, no, Papa.
You ain't making milk, Bob. Alright, Papa, good night.
Okay, darling, take good care. Yes, indeed. Yeah. All right.
Just tell the people the truth now. Scholar take a day.
It's not a day, it's a night. A night. He listening. He listening. I called him and he making us that man was in the place. You have to stop that, fella. Let's go back to the telephone. We Culture, good evening.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
I'm a first-time caller on your program.
Thank you.
And, yes, and listen to me. Now, we are talking things about teachers. Now, we had another individual mention about the 4%. Now, the 4% was laughing. It was supposed to be for the teachers. But listen to me. We have certain instances wherein that you have teachers within the school, politicizing everything. Because, they like, okay, they have Grenada, like Grenada belongs to Keith Mitchell country. And anything that Keith Mitchell is, that you have some people, they're going against the whole thing. Like, for instance, when the teachers did the thing, when they had to do certain things, when they said they got the salary, what had happened is that the union leader at the time had lead the teachers blindly.
Caller. Listen, can we stick to the issue of disrespect and manners, against each other? I don't want to go down that, because you mentioned about politicizing, and I think you're going to take us down that line, and we don't want to go there. So let's talk about. We know about the teachers, we know about the 4%, we know about the protests, we know all that happened. It was in the news every night for about 3 months. So let's talk about disrespect and where we at and how we can help to gain back the respect that we need to keep our society the way it ought to be. All right?
It must start first from the teachers. And the teachers, we should not have the same thing as we talked about politicizing. It must start first from the school, wherein that we teach, instead of when we listen to the malicious media, I just call it social media, and Facebook, I call it Facebook. Instead of you go through these processes, then within the school, we have to bring back the respect, because the whole disrespectful situation had come through the social media, the arrival of social media, and the distortion and conspiracy theories that had been set in by the different media surfaces. And it's high time that we teach the youth the truth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much indeed. 435-2041. That's the number you can call. And of course, you can share your views on the issue. Doc, I think you want to say something.
No, I think, you see, I think more than one caller recognized that leadership plays an important role. I think leadership has to do with the curriculum that we give to our children. I mean, for the children and them in particular, some of them in standard maybe Well, let me just say standard because a lot of us may not understand that. But 8 and 9-year-old children are attempting 12 or so different subject areas. So if we are serious about courtesy and discipline and manners, we need to, the curriculum need to reflect that. Activities in school need to reflect that and to reinforce that. So when we talk about leaders, we have to show leaders that, and we have to talk mainly about vision, that the leaders must have vision and ensure that that is the kind of society we want. And those things must be part of our school, of our school curriculum. So that is one of those areas I was thinking where the leaders have a big role to play in ensuring that we entrench those codes and those values in our children.
All right.
I think we need to go back to having the village involved, the village raising our children, a village that is sort of renewed, because the village as it is right now is very mixed up. It's very conflicting in terms of values and all of that. But I believe that if leaders, and it's happening in other countries, I think New Zealand is one of them, if we were to look at what parenting is like today, who are parenting, what are the other things that parents are involved in? I mean, look at it in a critical way, and to better be able to how should I put it? To have families that are better functioning, that have time, are able to spend quality time with children, not just rushing through homework, but actually spending time with them. I know that there are countries, I'm not sure if I'm mixing up here, but it's probably New Zealand, where people finish work at 3 so that you can go home and be with your family. You can go and spend time with your family. We are working, most of our daylight hours are spent getting ready for work, going to work, rushing to pick up children, back at work, and then by the time you get home is to help children in homework and prepare for tomorrow's work and school. It's like that is what we do. So I believe that we need to look at the fact that parents are now out in the workforce. We don't have the stay-at-home moms as we used to have before, the ones who would walk the children to school, go and pick them back up, have conversations with them, learning's happening. That is not happening like it used to before. So we need to look at that, and that is how we're going to have a better society. We're going to change the fabric of the society. Or parenting is going to be better, and we will produce less criminals and more functioning, respectful children in society. I don't think that bringing back and going back is very plausible with the scenario, the situation that we have existing right now in terms of how is it that we have to work and the amount of hours we're spending, outside of the home and away from the children. I don't know.
Well, I mean, no, the thing is, I think we all understand as adults. When we're going to make a decision, and in this case, we decide we're going to have a family and have children, and a lot of times it's not planned, so it just happens. So I think that in itself kind of complicates the problem. But when you plan, you need to take into consideration, look, this is what I'm signing up for. And there's a lot that goes with it. So you now have to start to manage your business properly so that look, I need to have X amount of time for my children, I have X amount of time for my studies, I have X amount of time for my job, I have X amount of time for my husband, or it has to be managed. And I guess for women it's a little more difficult because they tend to have a little more, especially around home. So it has to be planned. So yes, I can understand, one can get tired and one can be overwhelmed. But you have to think about all of these things before. Not that I'm saying that it shouldn't happen, and things can be a little over than what is expected. But it's a lot involved, and so it has to be given consideration.
But Godfrey, when we see mention about reinventing like a village, and in my mind, I don't know, we should have a virtual village. Where we probably can be doing scenarios and doing to reinforce some core values around the family. But even if we start this whole idea about around the family, I can bet you in a very short time, the whole concept of family would become one of controversy. So again, that is a challenge we probably might take head on. When you mention again, Godfrey, about plan, and you say when one plan family, we must think about how much time we go spend together, how much time we, as a family. I don't know, because I think a long time now, our parents going to Venezuela and England and migrating to what we may call as greener pastures and forsaking the children and working long hours, thinking that if we can give them, let us start with our sneakers. Instead, they wear their slippers now, but the child wants the sneakers. How do they get the sneakers if I do not work extra hours for these $400 sneakers? How do I get them the phone and the internet, and the phone costing $1,000? How do I get them that laptop on that TV? And how do I pay? I continue paying for that internet.
But I hear you. But what I'm
consideration in trying to maintain the material whole and trying to stay intact. Probably not just material now, but just trying to stay in the race. I mean that some persons with a very low salary having to work those extra hours just to keep up, and so it is all consuming the time, the energy.
No, I understand, but and that's why I spoke about planning ahead, because all of these things have to be taken into consideration. So I'm going to have 2 children. I'm going to have 3 children. Will I be in a position to give them that sneakers, to give them that tablet? Well, unless in cases, like I said, when it's not planned and it happens, then you try. And I understand the goodwill. In some parents, it's not. I don't think in some cases it's intentional that they just don't care or they don't try to make time. But as you say, I think they consider. Look, I want to be able to give my child a thing that would make him or her happy. So she can feel comfortable. And yes, I understand that. But sometimes, in doing so, it can create problems. And the problems,
you spoil the child because you probably you try to overreach and forsake the grounding and teaching of the values and trying to teach the child to have patience to get their own, and you just want to pamper the child with material things, with gifts, etc. And rather than investing in that human connection and having to teach the child how to get their own. So sometimes just trying to be in that rat race, you do things for the children that the children should be doing for themselves.
You see,
it's a complicated situation.
No, it is, and you see, we tend to think about the children, but these children that we focus in a lot now will become adults. Now, what kind of adults do we want them to become? Now, the kind of adults they become depends on how we treat them while they are children. And an important part there is the instilling of the values. Because if these values are not instilled, they will grow up disrespectful, they will grow up all kind of funny things that you didn't cater for. And maybe somewhere along the line, you missed the fact that it was because I did not instill the values. Instead, I gave them the high top for 400, I gave them the tablet for 2,000, and all of these things, which probably in your mind, you felt was the right thing to do, because you were thinking of the children. And probably sometimes we need to think of them as an individual, not just as a child, because that child will grow up. And
I think we should think of the children, but we should let the children grow up and we should teach them so that they would develop their own value system and see that things doesn't just come by the way. I was looking at a video just recently, earlier this week with Shaquille O'Neal, and he said, I am rich. My children are not rich. They have to learn how to become rich. What I have is not theirs. My role, his role, responsibility is to give them the tools so that they go acquire for themselves. I mean, I don't think it is a hard and fast like that. But I mean, here is a pattern he's setting that what is his, but his role as a parent is to teach them how to get their own.
Definitely.
You know, Godfrey, you said earlier that we need to plan, right? I'm happy that you did mention that most of us are on plan. I am one that believes that poverty has never stopped procreation.
No.
And
it increases. It increases.
Yes. But, you know, the whole situation of planning, I just want to put out there that if we were to approach that way, which, you know, it makes sense logically.
Sounds good.
Yeah. We probably would be a Grenada, like a lot of our metropolitan countries, where they are begging people and paying people to have children, if we were to have that planning approach. Because even in our small society here, we know, I mean, we can pinpoint women in our communities, especially women who decided to plan, to have the 5-step program, to go to school, get an education, meet the guy, get married, spend a few years of honeymooning, and then, acquire the home, you know, and that kind of thing, savings, and then have children.
Well,
a lot of women like that, it turned out to be too late. Not just too late by a lot in terms of the clock ticking, but at that stage, they just don't have the energy to be running behind little children.
Well, no, you see, like when I said planning, I meant planning. So even if you want to you know, go through a number of different phases, now you know what you want to do. You know that you want to, let's say, for example, you want to have maybe 2 children, and you want to have them, let's say, between the ages of, let's say, 23 and 28. Maybe during that same period, that's when you find people wanting to advance in education and start getting things. You have to now put all of this on the table and look, within what period or within what year I'm going to have the first child, and then, you know, and that's it. It's not a case where, all right, I'm going to do all of that, and when I'm finished, because you see, the thing is, things like education and getting a house and getting all of that, these are things that you really don't have a lot of control over, because things can change. Things can change, you know. So this is why I'm saying, in between, you analyze the thing, you look at it. It may not always work out, but with the intent of being able to teach the values, you know, so that the adults that you bring in forth, and Doc, you're watching me, I know this is not an easy thing. It is not an easy thing. It is a difficult thing. But I you know, the importance of the values, so that we can have respectful adults down the road. This is something that we definitely need to put some serious effort into. It's not too late to start.
I'd like to add about the extended family as well. And that comes in with the whole village. You know, I think in the past, there were so many aunties and uncles, not necessarily biological, the nenes and the parents and all of that, who ensured that our children were on the right track. They understood respect. They understood having respect for your elders. You know, and elders could even be your older sister. I have been around families in my younger days where when your older sister speaks, you don't argue. You obey, you know, that sort of thing. And today, the little ones are challenging the older ones, you know? There's nobody to stop them. The aunties and the uncles, they're not there. So you find that even that, the more having more single parent or having more nuclear family is part of the contributing factors for why is it that our children are not being pounded, for want of a better word, with these values that we want to ensure are instilled in them. It is not just the parent. It is not just how young the parent is or just how busy the parent is. There's also other things: the extended family, the village, the teachers, how we treat our teachers, and in turn, how it is that they treat our children. Because today you have parents that are going at it with teachers, and sometimes for very little things or things that have very good intentions and all of that. And you find teachers are now deciding that they are going to hold back. They are not going to say anything. That is no longer their responsibility. They're paid to come and teach, that sort of thing. So it's a very holistic kind of thing that we approach that we have to have in terms of how is it that each one of us affect each other and the roles that each one of us have to play in all of Grenada's children's lives.
Right. We quickly running out of time. Let me just take a quick call again. Oui Culture, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Godfrey, and good evening to your panel, and good evening to everybody in the Isle of Spice, within the Caribbean, Petit Martinique. So, Godfrey, I was called to pick up Mr. Livingston Nelson, a long time. This is my brother for a long, long time. We met a long, long time from when I used to be working in a hotel, and he used to come on the team there, and he's a very good soul. At one time, I said he can run for the whole of Grenville. You know what I mean? I listened to your program on many occasions, and I enjoyed it. It's very good. And, it's a message call I not there tonight. I want to pick up my girl Reece too. I think Reece is supposed to be Spec Coast, yeah? So, have a good evening.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah. One quick question, guys, before we wrap. What about that saying? You make the child, but you make the mind. In other words, you hear that a parent, they try their best. They try their best to train up the child, but the child ain't taking training.
But Godfrey, I believe that is true. But I also believe that if you teach or have any interaction to do with children, you can see the difference in the home. And if a 2 or 3 children come out from that particular home, the behavior is not so far different from each other. Mm-hmm. 1 or 2 might elevate, 1 might go extremely wild. But by and large, the foundation the parents give the children is reflective of what the parents put or how much emphasis the parents put into molding that child or those children. Mm-hmm. So you don't make them mind, but I would say by and large, you see a well solid couple, and the children generally would come out in a particular way. Mm-hmm. And you see a next couple, and you just almost certain that might spell trouble because of what you see happening in the home. Mm-hmm. As I said, there are 1 or 2 exceptions, but I believe by and large, your parenting skill, how many efforts you put into placing value on your, and enforcing values and character, trying to build character of the children, that is a reflection of the parents, and it generally would come over just 1 or 2 children that might go haywire down the path. Mm-hmm. And even when they become bandit, they tend to maintain some level of principle, and value, even when they tend to go haywire.
Mm-hmm. Reece, your take on this?
Yes, Godfrey, I'm a little more closer to what Livingston said in the end. I think that statement is not necessarily directed towards a child, as in of childhood age. Mm-hmm. I think that statement is about a child that is now an adult. So it's someone's child that is now an adult. Hence, you make the child, but you don't make the mind. Because as adults, we tend to go our own way. And sometimes we detract from all the learnings, all the efforts, all the sacrifices, everything, the church going, everything that, they were brought up around. They go in opposite direction to it. And that is where that statement comes out, in my opinion. You make the child what you don't make their mind, because the child has gone down a path that the mother would have never tolerated, never grew that child that way, that sort of thing. And it's usually where it was very visible that people saw the sacrifices or the contributions, or they knew the strictness and all of that of the parents, that when they see the child is going in opposite direction, it is a very wowing moment, So that is how I take that statement. But it comes down to maybe respect and manners again, because as adults, parents and people around have to respect that as adults, people make their choices as to which direction they go. Yes, it may reflect on the parents, but they're adults, and that is a choice that they made. So you make the child, but you don't make the man.
Fair enough. I mean, there is so much more we can talk about, but that's all the time we have. Reece, let's take our final Facebook comments.
Comments? Right, so I'll go to the Oui Culture page at first. Donald Taylor is saying, we have adopted the American lifestyle. With regards to work and family, materialism reigns supreme. Poor choice. Jennifer Chateau is saying, Godfrey, don't bother with that man on seat at funerals. Men stay by the road, in the yard, or by the car selling drinks and cigarettes. It's women that stay inside the church.
But they come in late.
Yes. So Onesto is saying, I remembered that one caller mentioning that she don't like to be called grandma, and think that's where respect went out of the door, because if a child could call one in the name, what you leave for when they meet others, they will call them in their names as the same. We have to know where to draw the line, and parents have to stop letting children call them in their name. They are not their friends, but should be called mom, mommy, mother, or ma. Hannah Plenty saying, in village before, you could have identified persons that were living there. But now, almost every day, you're seeing someone new in your village and don't even know their name or where they are living in that village. Hannah goes on to say, if you are growing up and you hear everyone is calling you by your first name, if you are the parent, automatically they will just fall in line calling you by your first name, because they are not hearing anyone calling you mommy. Ingrid Bond, different generation, the respect is gone long time. A village used to raise your children with you but not now, different generation. Jose is saying mostly your grandparents. In the same home, your raise up will be the one keeping you in check when it comes to respect or being respectful to others. Hannah is saying, as a child growing up and being the first grand in the house, I didn't hear anyone saying grandma or grandpa. All I heard was mommy and daddy, so I fall in line saying mommy and daddy too. Until later on, I say grandma and grandpa. Cynthia B saying, I guess that is why some parents call each other mom and dad. True. Jennifer is saying, Mr. Nelson, speak of a virtual village. This might be more so for us adults because our children have electronics which they do not put down. Ingrid is saying, my daughter called me mom, also called my mother mom, because that's what she heard we all say. Now, Jose is saying, in the USA, both parents get themselves buying expensive shoes and phone for their children when they're in the school, because they've been picked on and sometimes been bullied by others. So it forces parents to do certain things they can't really afford to. But to stop that child from feeling left behind and may save their lives in that case. Wow. Ingrid is saying, Reece, that's what we call a village. Everyone is your uncle and auntie and helping you raise your children. Jose, before we ended the show, I wanted to wish the PM happy birthday. I think he turned 75 years. Yes, and wasn't it Jose's birthday yesterday? It was Jose's birthday yesterday. So
really? Happy birthday, Jose.
Yes, he's very close to the PM, and I know he has a special love for the PM.
Okay.
Host is saying great program, but I missed caller input. I hope all is well with him. Scholar went to Keith birthday party, Lord. That's what Ingrid is saying. So he didn't tell us. Okay. All right.
That's all right, you know.
Yes.
I find that's all right. Serious. Yeah.
Thanks, as always, very informative. Stay blessed. Stay safe. Beverly saying teacher is so important. They feed our children. Beverly saying no, the pandemic. There are so many children who are hungry. Kipling Francis, ever since pride and selfishness eat away shame, there goes respect and manners. Richie Charles on the go show. Beverly Penny, so they need the 4%. And that's it for our Facebook comments.
Right, but we have no additional comments on the WhatsApp platform. So that's all the time we have. In fact, we've already gone over a little bit for this evening. We thank everyone. Doc, anything you want to say in closing?
Well, I just want to say thank you. I believe it was a very interesting discussion. I know there are a lot of other areas we could have delved in a little bit deeper. We are not as resourceful to delve into some of those narrow areas, but I think it opened the eye to some people. We have the time, so just want to say good night to everyone and enjoy the weekend, folks.
Definitely. Well, Reece, I'm happy you were able to make it. I know you were having a lot of issues, but I'm really happy that you were able to make it. And so I hope.
I just want to shout out to Scarl, say, bro, we miss you tonight.
Yeah, and drink a beer first. You know what I mean? We know it already.
Half drink it already.
Yeah.
For my closing comments, I just want to say that, our senior citizens, our mothers to be mothers with children, our differently abled, they are part of our society, especially our senior citizens. They would have been the ones who paved the way for us. So we have to have respect and consideration, because Bob Marley said, once a man, twice a child. You are going to go back to the days of where someone has to change diapers on you if you are so lucky. Someone has to help you with walking, feeding, and all of that. And, these are what our senior citizens would have done at what point in their life for us and even for their parents. So, when it comes to our senior citizens, we have to love them. We have to take care of them. We have to make sure that they have their best life in those senior years. And we have to do the same for the people who are bringing more life into our world. And, for those who are differently able. So that's my take. And once we have respect and manners, things go nice.
Oh, definitely. I definitely agree with you, Reece. We definitely need to start doing the right things as adults. And I think one of our listeners did mention that. It's important as adults that we also respect the younger ones. They learn that way. It's not just telling them to be respectful, but we have to show them what respect is. So we have to respect them. We have that obligation to respect them, and they will learn. And I believe when they learn that way, it has a better chance of staying with them, So definitely we need to pay attention to how we treat our senior citizens. Look, they've done a lot for us. They've laid the foundation for where we are today. Our mothers, grandmothers, grandfathers, uncles, aunts, you name it. We have to respect them, and not just respect, but whenever we can, lend a helping hand, assist. There are many among us who are not in a position to do a lot of things that they would like to. Those of us who can, we should help them, especially our senior citizens. So, folks, that's our program this evening. Thank you very much. Don't forget, tomorrow from 5 o'clock, Yuletide Sunday premieres. It's going to be a great one. We have a big special for you. Not tomorrow, but one of these Sundays, so be sure to join us. That starts tomorrow at 5 p.m. Do take care, enjoy your evening, and enjoy the rest of the weekend. So long, have a good one. Guys, all the best, and we chat soon.
Yeah, man.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
Calypso, forget the funk and the disco.